So BlackBerry mobile spyware, monkey steals the berries. Is that too boomy? Does that sound boomy? Yeah, I thought so. It's right on my neck.
Is that cleaner, better, smoother? All right. All right, let's dive right in. Interactive. You guys want to throw shmoo balls at me? I like it. I want to hear questions, not you. All right. So what am I going to talk about today? These are the different major sections of the presentation. Introduction. We're going to go through a bunch of case studies of publicly available spyware. The first half of the presentation is really kind of focused on mobile spyware in general, not just BlackBerry, because that kind of is the greater topic and the greater problem. It's not necessarily it isn't a BlackBerry specific problem. We'll go through some case studies. We'll talk about the BlackBerry security mechanisms. We'll talk about installation of spyware and what the most obvious methods to get spyware onto your mobile device would be. Effects and behaviors of my specific spyware that I've created for BlackBerry. Technical specifications, I'll go through a few slides, not a ton, that talks about the actual code that was written. And then methods of detection and some future work. And the demonstration, I originally had a live demonstration planned, but due to crappy cell reception in this room, I'm going to be playing a demo and just kind of talking through the demo. I'm not sure whether I'll let the demo narrate itself, because it is narrated, or whether I'll jump through, but we'll play that by ear when we get there. So who am I and why should you believe me? You shouldn't, first of all. Second of all, I'm a senior security researcher at Veracode. I've been a consultant for Symantec, a consultant for AtStake. I've done incident response and forensics for the government before. And there's a couple things I wish I was that I'm not. So let's just dive right into it. What exactly is mobile spyware? Mobile spyware, by my definition, and what we're going to go by for the purposes of this presentation, is an application that may or may not look legitimate at face value that executes code behind the facade. We're not necessarily talking about what I created, because what I created has no facade. It is very plainly obvious what it is. But we're more interested in, say, a video game, a tic-tac-toe, a basic game that grabs your contacts and sends them off the phone. A developer may intentionally add these features or unintentionally if it's a syntactical or logic-related code flaw. And mobile spyware does not require any specific programming language. It's not limited to specific mobile devices or operating systems, and it can exist in any environment that an application can run. So it's the same concept as basic PC spyware. But why would people target the mobile platform instead of the PC platform? That's where the data is traveling. The data is going from large mainframe systems to servers to PCs, now to netbooks, and eventually it's going to be residing on little handhelds as much as possible. So it's a follow the data kind of model. Attackers want the data. They don't care about routing a box to root a box. They want the data. They want to make money on the data. Attacker motivation also includes a lower barrier of entry in the mobile world. There's just generally less security protocols in place currently. It's a fresher atmosphere. It's not been beat to hell. It might not even require compromise of the system if the target is willing to install the application on your behalf. There's always the chance of dangerous modification of data in the handheld and theft of intellectual property. High-end attackers are not going to just be jamming this stuff out on the wire. They're going to target individuals by sending them specific links, specific phishing attacks to your mobile that's going to compromise your mobile and get this type of spyware installed on your system. Think Aurora for mobile. It's a perfect opportunity. So let's just flash back in time. Here's a bunch of pictures of some spyware for the PC, or commonly Trojan-style applications for the PC. And so in the computing world, we have a number of spyware and Trojans. Some code with pretty GUIs, some is just command line, but they all get the data. The data is the key here. These things have been around for a long time. Why do we still have spyware? Why can't we get rid of it? I mean, what are we talking about here? Is this 1999? There has to be a better way to deal with this stuff. So you'll see a theme in the photos as we go through. I like the monkey theme is going to be throughout this presentation. So case studies of mobile spyware. Real quickly, we'll get into some of the examples. FlexiSpy is a commercial offering, costs between $150 and $350 reoccurring each year. The pros of FlexiSpy, it's fully functional, allows the target to be monitored using many different types of methods, covers platforms Symbian, BlackBerry, Windows Mobile. The cons of FlexiSpy, it's expensive to purchase. no source code available, and the data is exfiltrated from your mobile device into a server that they own, and then you have to log into that device to get it. So they capture and see all of your data as well. And they store all that personal data. So if I'm going to compromise somebody with a real offensive nature that I want to gather their data for some kind of criminal activity, I don't want it being stuck on a server somewhere. Who do they market to? FlexiSpy markets to the paranoid, which is kind of interesting. Catch your cheating wife or husband, monitor your employees, protect your children, paranoia-based marketing. They also market to the offensive-minded with bug meeting rooms, corporate espionage, those types of things. They also apparently don't like antivirus beating them up either, because that last is a quote from their webpage, pretty much slamming F-Secure that they shouldn't be classified as malware, which is kind of funny. Oops, ignore that. Swipe my finger slower. Mobile Spy, another commercial piece of software. It's either $50 a quarter or $100 a year. Again, it covers not quite as many features as the FlexiSpy option, but it also covers Android and iPhone, as well as Windows Mobile, BlackBerry, and Symbian. It's, again, expensive to purchase. It costs money. There's no source code available. You can't be sure what it's doing. And it exfiltrates data to a web portal that, again, you have to connect to, so they hold your personal data. So they're a little bit more covert in what their intended uses are. They're more about children's phone usage and safety of your child, and monitor your employees for potential IP theft. They specifically state you should be careful when and where you use their software to not break the law. So they're a little bit more soft on their marketing. They've sold to 30,000 customers in over 150 countries. So if you do the math, that's $1.5 million if those 30,000 customers only bought the cheapest subscription. My wife is pissed I'm giving this away free. She says she's probably right. I should be selling it. So let's look at some more practical examples. I can't say the name of this carrier, Etisalat. I don't know how to pronounce it. Etisalat, thank you. Etisalat is a cell carrier in the UAE, the United Arab Emirates. In July of last year, it pushed a patch to their mobile BlackBerry users that was to enhance performance of your phone, because they're having performance issues the previous week. The patch didn't actually fix anything. Instead, it installed spyware on the user's phone that was controlled over BlackBerry pin messaging, and the spyware stayed hidden on the device. It captured outbound emails, outbound SMS, and it was designed to be remotely enabled or disabled by the carrier. So this comes from the carrier right to your phone. The only reason it was caught is it had some buggy code, and it ended up draining batteries on a lot of targets, and was discovered. People reverse engineered it and publicized that it was found. The analysis was actually quite easy. Some of my coworkers did some analysis on it, and it was easy primarily because the jar was included right with it. So then we have Bugs and Phone Snoop. This stuff was released at Hack in the Box 2009, this past October. So as you can see, this is all recent stuff, July, October. Excellent talk by Sharan Gunasekara, I think is how you pronounce it. Chopstick is his handle. He released three applications at the conference. Bugs, which is a spyware application that exfiltrates inbound and outbound emails. He released Phone Snoop, which is a remote listener for ambient conversation. So essentially you can call into the phone, it turns on the speakerphone, and listens to the room. And he released Kisses, which is a detector for bugs and other bugging style of applications. So just so the BlackBerry folks in the room don't think that I'm actually trying to pick on BlackBerry specifically, let's talk about some other pieces of spyware that have infiltrated the mobile arena. Detected in November, this one was is actually in the iTunes App Store. It made it into the App Store. Storm 8 was the name of the company, and they released iMobsters, Vampires Live, a bunch of other games. And Storm 8 essentially would farm your phone number from your phone with these games and store it server-side. It was over HTTP, if I recall, not even HTTPS, which makes it even worse. And they claimed that they accidentally put the code in for development for debug reasons, that after they were called out on it, of course, that it was there for debug reasons. Inserted an error and was never intended for production. And they've since modified their games to no longer do this. But what's interesting is these were available via the iTunes App Store. So there's a link at the bottom that talks about the news article for it. Symbian also had a problem. It was available via malicious websites in this instance. And it was essentially a full-on botnet for mobile phones application, which was not very hidden at all. It was generally a botnet application. Once installed, it could send data out, including your phone information, your network information, via a web connection back to a targeted server. It could spam phone contacts for continued distribution so that it could continue to distribute itself. It's essentially a botnet for Symbian mobile phones. What makes this one really interesting is the binary is signed as safe by Symbian. Turns out the process at that time, I don't know if it still is, but the process at that time was for them signing and stamping a binary as acceptable and safe was that it passed F-Secure virus check. And maybe was manually inspected. They had they would select a certain percentage of the applications for manual inspection. So basically, if you didn't get a real virus or a known virus in there, you could be stamped safe by Symbian's key. And that one was. So the 09 Droid banking app attack, this one's Android. This guy created, I think, 50 or so banking front ends and got them into the Google Android marketplace. From my understanding, they didn't actually do anything malicious. From the ones that I know, people have reversed a bunch of them, and they weren't malicious. I think he was just trying to get 0.99 euros for each download and trying to grab it quick, and he did. He had a ton of downloads of these. But it was a perfect opportunity to steal data, exfiltrate data, grab your banking credentials. He just either chose not to use it or we haven't found the ones that he did it in. So it was approved and downloadable from the Google Android marketplace. Google didn't even look at it. Got it up there, put it up there, go ahead. So the point I'm trying to make here is that in general, the app stores are giving a false sense of security to folks. They think, hey, this is stamped by Symbian. Hey, this is at the BlackBerry App Store. Hey, this is on the Google Android Marketplace. It's got to be safe. If I'm downloading from those places, it's got to be safe, right? And it's really not the case. So let's bring up another monkey picture and talk about BlackBerry's security mechanisms. So I want everybody to know RIM takes security very seriously. Here's a list of links that talks about the security mechanisms and how to protect your phone. Read them, it's good stuff. The BlackBerry security mechanisms, of all the mobile device operating systems today, RIM is, in my opinion, and likely the securest platform. It is by far the one that has the most granular configurations to add security at the application level, among other things. It implements encryption, application level security, corporate level security. And when you configure it properly, it can be a very secure platform. When the SSA, the Etisalat issue occurred, RIM put out a quote, and it's something that I think I should read exactly here because I think people really need to remember this. But RIM would like to remind our customers that all smartphones can be used as multifaceted application platforms that enable their owners to choose and install a wide range of applications to suit their needs from a large number of third-party developers. But careful consideration should be given when determining which applications are allowed to be installed by the end user on the device. The BlackBerry platform has a number of built-in security measures that require the smartphone user to explicitly agree to install and authorize an application. So at the end of the day, the security of your phone is your problem. And that's really the point of that statement. And that includes not just BlackBerry, but across the board, all the marketplace owners and all the mobile platforms. At the end of the day, the security of phone is still your problem. So they're good, they're secure, that's great, that's wonderful, but does that really matter? Interesting stats. Only 23% of smartphone owners use the security software installed on their device. It's a very nebulous stat. What does that mean? Did you set up the password? There's a number of different things that can mean. But let's assume for a moment that that's any kind of security thing on your device. If only 23% are turning on the password to log into the device, to actually unlock it, how many of those are going through on an application-by-application basis and securing the stuff they download from the App Store? It's much lower than 23%. 13% of organizations currently protect from mobile viruses at all, which is also a very, very low number. And another interesting stat is that 54% of organizations surveyed plan to deploy mobile antivirus products in 2010. So it's up and coming. This is where the malware is headed. This is where the target is going. So let's talk about some of the individual security mechanisms implemented by RIM for the BlackBerry devices. So code signing. There's a subset of the BlackBerry API that's considered controlled. For some of the code to be executed and for some of these APIs to be called on the handheld, it has to be signed by the